evening, everyone. I don't even need this. I can talk loud enough for everybody. I'd like to welcome you all and absolutely thank you all for coming tonight. And for right now, I would also like to ask Rabbi Eric Polikoff to come on up and do the invocation for us, Rabbi. Thank you.
Friends, I'm going to ask you to take it from me. The Jewish Federation of Western Connecticut didn't specifically plan this date to coincide with this week's Torah portion. Our partner on this beautiful campus, my colleague, Federation Director Gary Jones, took the short stroll to my office to check the activities calendar. We discussed a number of items, including our extraordinary mutual friend, Deacon Art, but not Parshat Shlach Lecha. Nevertheless, while it didn't come up, the timing of tonight's gathering couldn't be more fortuitous, as our weekly Torah portion addresses questions around communal understandings and leadership. Shlach Lecha begins with a delegation of leading Israelites touring the Holy Land. The majority contend that while it's a great place flowing with milk and honey, proteins and carbs, the risk of settlement there are too daunting. Ignoring God's promise, they propose instead a return to Egypt. Joshua and Caleb argue in contrast that the mission is achievable, and ultimately, with the rise of a new generation, they are proven right. Our takeaway is the importance of attitude and drive. Neither success nor failure are givens. Learning from our ancestors, we are to discern our circumstances without giving in to fear or a self-defeating mindset. Admittedly, our communal treks through both the pandemic and demographic developments have been longer and more arduous than anticipated. It's easy to get discouraged and doubt our area's institutions' abilities to nurture Jewish life. At such moments, may the vision and leadership of a Joshua or Caleb sustain us. For we must do our part to promote Jewish peoplehood in all our diversity and to forge alliances beyond ourselves, from one generation to the next. The stakes are high, and there can be no return to Egypt. Given their immense responsibilities and a shortage of fellow volunteers, given the challenges, some of our leaders may feel at times a bit alone in the wilderness. In keeping with the Torah's meta lesson, albeit to their surprise, two of our Joshua and Caleb's will be recognized this evening. Todah Rabbah. We are grateful to you, and I'm honored to also partner with you. Embracing the Torah and wisdom that continues to speak to our day and assuredly to this evening, aware of our blessings and our circumstances, may our journey bring this community and its allies closer to the promised land. Ken Yehi Ratzon, be this God's will.
Rabbi, as always, thank you for your support. Okay, everybody knows that my weak point, well, one of many, is motions. So bear with me. I was on Robert's Rules all day. The next item on our agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the 2022 annual meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes from the annual 2022 meeting as presented, please? Thank you, Dawn. Second, thank you, Eric. Any discussion? Any comments? Any corrections? I hope that's not a sign. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, God. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes, and thank you. The next is my report. Good evening and welcome to our Federation's annual meeting. I'm Pauline Zimmerman, President of the Federation. I'm so pleased to see you all here tonight and grateful that you took the time from your busy lives to come and show your support of the Federation and all that we do, in large part to your interest and your financial support. Please let me say thank you. Thank you is what you're going to hear from me tonight a lot. I literally just kept thinking, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And then I kind of sat back and thought, I have so much to be grateful for and thankful for, and a lot of it comes from everybody in this room. As I sat down to write my fourth and final annual meeting address, I did struggle with what to say. Thankful and grateful quickly came to my mind. I'm thankful for all of our members and you in the room. I'm grateful for our staff, Gary Jones, Director, Tom Harris, our Financial Director, Kathy Conti, our Programming Director, and Pam Perkins, our Administrative Assistant, all of whom make my life and the board's life easier every day. I'm so incredibly proud and grateful of our Grants Committee, all of whom are led by Roy Walzer. Roy's here, Jane's here, Jesse's here. I don't know if I missed, Lisa Miller's here. And all the time, effort, and goodness that goes into their process. Over the past year, more than $440,000 has been granted to requests for scholarships, camperships, community needs, and needs in Israel. Our endowment is strong, and we look forward to another year of being a support to so many deserving requests. The Grant Committee is often rewarded for their hard work with letters and notes of thanks from the recipients, and this makes their work worth every second of the process. This allows us to carry out our part of our mission statement, which includes Tikkun Olam, healing the world both locally and in Israel. I'm grateful to our Programming Committee, chaired by Lisa Miller and myself. This year we provided, again, a meaningful Yom HaShoah program that recognizes and remembers the atrocities which occurred so many years ago. Every year we see the number of survivors dwindling. It's all of our responsibility to teach our youth and remind everyone why we must never forget. We hosted a speaker, Mark Geller, who shared the story of the loss of his dear wife and his journey that brought him, a boy from Brooklyn, to our little chapel here in Southbury. The Federation played a key role in honoring the 85th anniversary of when Southbury said no to the Nazis. This was a powerful event and a reminder that anti-Semitism can occur anywhere and is on the rise. We reinvigorated the women's philanthropy arm of our Federation by welcoming many female leaders in our community. We were grateful to have author Dani Shapiro as our kickoff speaker. We have plans to meet and plan together where we want to head next as a strong and powerful group of women. I am grateful for the recognition we showed to Sylvia and Bert Albert of blessed memory, who were true leaders in our community, via the Habonim Awards at the campaign kickoff each year in their names. I'm grateful for the robust Love and Knishes program that serves so many of our seniors, and I especially look forward to our mission trip in October to Israel, and I really hope you'll join us on this community building event. We will soon be voting on the slate of officers for the upcoming year. We are pleased to welcome a new member, but you may also notice some of the slate will be returning for a period of time, which will be brief. Looking at brief. The world is changing. What worked yesterday might be improved on today. With that being said, we as a board have decided to extend our terms while we work in earnest to explore and configure where we want to be in a month, a year, and 10 years. We look forward to your comments, suggestions, and critiques whenever you'd like to share them with us. We are all the Federation, and we believe this process will make our Federation stronger and well prepared for a strong future. As I close out this address, I'd like to share what I'm most grateful for during my time as president. First is my support of children. and following ever so closely is our board. I'm grateful for every one of you, for your friendship, your support, your commitment to our Federation, your ability to be present for the Federation, in addition to all of your other commitments. While we sometimes may have differing opinions, our conversations are always respectful, and not one of us is ever shy about saying thank you to each other. To make sure we will always feel connected, I've planted trees in Israel for each of you to show my gratitude. I'd like to invite Roy Walzer, Eric Albert, Rachel Albert, and Lisa Miller to come up and show everyone how truly stronger we are together. Unfortunately, Matt Magida and Chaim couldn't be here tonight, but they're here in spirit. So thank you, everyone. Come up, guys. Please. This is in alphabetical order, because I didn't want to. Eric, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, sorry. No worries. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
We're going to go off script here.
Okay.
You have to stand back a little.
Oh, okay.
Once again, thank you all for coming to support your federation, and the board always looks at it that way. We're your representatives. On behalf of the board and the staff and the entire community, I would like to thank you so much for your outstanding exemplary service. Your leadership has been really breathtaking. You've been willing to get into the weeds when necessary and to look at the broader issues when that's appropriate. And your wise counsel and hard work have been appreciated all the way through your term. It's extraordinary.
Thank you so much.
Beyond what anyone could expect, you've extended and extended
This is it, though.
and extended again, and we really appreciate it. It's been wonderful. Your leadership is an inspiration. And as a token, we've arranged with Rachel's help to give you this small.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay. Wow, that was unexpected. Thank you so much. Take your time. Okay, I will with you. Next up, please, I'd like to ask Gary Jones, our director, to come up and offer his report, please.
Thank you, Pauline. And before we get to my report, I just have to say that we're not quite finished with Pauline. It's hard to find a way to add to Roy's beautiful tribute, but I will try very briefly. As you heard, Pauline is finishing her 4th year as our president. This is the kind of position that virtually no one accepts for 4 years. In addition, we can't forget that those 4 years included the COVID years, making her position more important, more difficult, and more unpredictable. What she has already given to the Federation is of immeasurable value, and as we say during Passover, Dayenu. In other words, what she has done already would have been more than enough. Instead, she has agreed to stay on as president for another 6 months to enable the Federation to achieve a proper transition. Pauline, we couldn't be more grateful. As another symbol of our affection, we would like to present you with flowers, which are in the refrigerator. I will get them to you as soon as I finish. But Pauline, thank you so much. I mean, we can't say enough wonderful things about you. So next, yet another surprise. So for those of you who are keeping score, this will be the second surprise of the evening. Many of you in this room need no introduction to Stephen Reps back there. Stephen is the president of B'nai Israel of Southbury. As everyone in this room knows, being the president of the synagogue is a huge responsibility. Prior to becoming the president of B'nai Israel, Stephen was the president of the limited liability company that owns this building on behalf of the Federation in B'nai Israel. So, in addition to having a demanding day job, he has been a highly appreciated and very busy lay leader for many, many years. At this point, you may be asking, where does the Federation fit into this? The answer is pretty simple, but still pretty amazing. Stephen suffers from having a combination of attributes that are highly sought after by nonprofit organizations. First, he has a great variety of skills. He has organizational skills and technical skills of all kinds, particularly knowing how to make technology work in this building. He regularly takes on the task of making sure that our video technology works. In fact, as you see, Stephen has taken on the task of videotaping this very program. Second, Stephen is always willing to help, and somehow also seems to be able to find the time to provide that help. Third, he is a mensch, a truly decent person who cares about people and is genuinely happy to help. Despite his many responsibilities to B'nai Israel and to the LLC, all of which he has fulfilled beautifully, he has always been there for the Federation as well. We at the Federation couldn't be more grateful that he thinks the Federation is worthy of his time, talent, and kindness. As a small token of our affection and appreciation, we would like to thank Stephen with this tzedakah box, which is not here where it was supposed to be. Yeah. Thank you, Rachel. We will get that to you in a moment, Stephen. Yeah. Got it, Rachel? Yeah. Thank you so much. That Rachel, she always, knows where the tzedakah boxes are buried. There's a little cubby hole under here, which I expected these to be in, but they weren't. Stephen, could you please come up and...
Thanks very much, certainly very unexpected and unnecessary. I mean, the Jewish Federation of Western Connecticut is our partner in this building, and is certainly absolutely worthy of every single effort that I'm so happy to give to them. So thanks very much, Gary. Pauline, Roy, thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephen. It really is, it's a pleasure to be in this building. Everyone in this building works together collaboratively so well and cares about each other so much. We're all trying to do good things, right? We all have slightly different variations on the things that we need to do good things, but we're all trying to do good things. And the camaraderie and the relationships that we have make what can be, at times, very difficult jobs much, much easier. So I thank Stephen, I thank Rabbi, and I thank everyone involved with this building for all that they do to make our lives easier and our jobs more productive. Okay. Next, here is my report. It will be relatively brief, but not quite as brief as all the others you've heard so far. So just want to echo Pauline's thank you for joining us for this Federation annual meeting. I will focus principally, as Pauline did, on expressing my heartfelt thanks to everyone who has helped our Federation to grow and to become more impactful in serving the Jewish people of Western and Northwestern Connecticut in the past year. Of course, it all starts with our outstanding board of directors. Although the board is not large, our directors are extremely hardworking and knowledgeable. They know how much of a difference a strong federation can make, and their efforts to make our federation even more impactful never cease. We have started the process of expanding our board, both in terms of numbers and in geographic representation. I am very pleased that Kathy Peck Marks has agreed to join the board. She will be a terrific addition. We are continuing to look for good people to add to our board, and we welcome your input in this effort. Second, I would like to thank the clergy and lay leaders of Jewish organizations from all parts of Western and Northwestern Connecticut. I can't tell you how much we appreciate their willingness to collaborate with us in so many ways. In addition, I think our community leaders all understand how much stronger we can all be when we work together. Finally, in this regard, I believe that our community leaders appreciate that the Federation's efforts are directed to helping each of our constituent organizations to do their jobs and to serve their members and constituents better. Although we are small in numbers, the Jewish community in our part of the state is smart, eclectic, and diverse. When we work together, there is no limit to what we can accomplish. My next thank you goes to our intrepid president, Pauline Zimmerman. As you heard, Pauline has just finished her 4th year as our president, and she will continue on for another 6 months while we work on developing other lay leaders to take on this critical role. Although we all owe Pauline an enormous credit of attitude, that is especially true for me. So thank you, Pauline, for your intellect, for your good judgment, and for your commitment to the Federation and our community. My final thank you goes to our Federation staff. As I noted last year, we are a small group, but a mighty one. I'd like to thank each of them individually. Pam Perkins, who is still out there because there are a few people who still haven't made it into the meeting, is our administrative assistant. She is also the point person and spreadsheet guru for our robust grants and allocation system. She fields the calls and responds to the emails of the many, many organizations and individuals who benefit from this very important grants program. Our Grants and Allocations Committee, chaired by Roy Walzer, does an amazing job of serving the needs of all of the beneficiaries of our various grant programs. But it is Pam who makes sure that we have the information the committee needs in a manner that is most helpful. So in her absence, I'm thanking Pam. The next person I want to recognize is someone who is here, our CFO, Tom Harris. Tom, wave. Okay. Tom came to the Federation with amazing experience and expertise, and it shows. Even though Tom joined our little group just about 4 months ago, he has hit the ground running and has made sure that the progress we have made in the last couple of years continues. I am pleased to say that we have completed another clean financial audit and have a full understanding of each of the funds in our endowment. With Tom's leadership, we will make sure that our fiscal house continues to be in good order. So thank you, Tom. Kathy Conti, unfortunately, couldn't be here today because she had a little medical issue that she's dealing with. As almost everyone knows, though, Kathy is our program and events manager. It is easier for most of our lay leaders to appreciate what Kathy does because her work is directed to the public. Thankfully, we have significant lay leadership involvement in the planning of our events and programs. The program committee, as Pauline mentioned, is headed by Pauline and Lisa Miller. Our new board member, Kathy Peck Marks, also has become an invaluable resource on the program committee. We recently had 2 very successful women's events, and our live Yom HaShoah program was attended by 180 people. Every time we have a Love and Knishes luncheon, a women's Seder, a campaign kickoff event, or any other event, it is Kathy who does most of the work in planning. She does her job well and with great humor, So I want to thank Kathy as well. As I mentioned, I'm not going to talk in detail about the substance of the Federation's accomplishments tonight. We'll save that for our campaign kickoff event, September 10th. Mark it on your calendars. Within the next week or so, you will receive a message from me regarding our fiscal year-end appeal. We have also provided you with helpful donation cards on each of your chairs. Please continue to support us so that we can continue to serve the community in the manner it deserves. Finally, please consider joining our community mission to Israel in October. It will be both a meaningful and fun trip. We have flyers relating to that mission as well. If you ever have any suggestions for the Federation, please let me know. We consider the Federation to be the home office and lead voice of our community. We need your help to make sure that we perform these tasks well. Thank you again for being here tonight and for all of your support for the Federation. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Okay. Next. We go to the featured performer of our evening in a minute. So I can't tell you how honored I am to have Deacon Art Miller here. When I asked Deacon Art how he would like to be introduced, his instructions were as follows. Tell everyone that I'm from Chicago, a veteran, and a civil rights advocate. Not yet. But I can't always listen to Deacon Art, so I want to add a few more little tidbits about Art so that you'd have a better flavor for how lucky we are to have him with us tonight. Although these three components may be the most important influences on his life, I hope he forgives me if I mention a few other aspects as well. He grew up in the south side of Chicago and went to school with Emmett Till, the 14-year-old who was brutally murdered while visiting relatives in Mississippi in 1955. That horrible murder, as most of us know, provided a catalyst to the still new civil rights movement at the time. In 2005, Art wrote a book called The Journey to Chatham, describing the details of those historic events as seen through the eyes of Emmett's friends. After a successful career in the insurance industry, Art decided to devote all of his time to being a civil rights activist, I should say. Among other things, Deacon Art served as the director of the Office for Black Catholic Ministries for the Archdiocese of Hartford and the Archdiocese representative to the Connecticut Coalition to Save Darfur, where, by the way, he got to meet a number of us in this room and became particularly close to Joel Abramson, who unfortunately, is not able to be here with us tonight. But when I told Joel that we were honoring Art, Joel reached out to Art to send his best. Art regularly works with schools to help them fight racism and to promote more respectful environments for all students. Rabbi Polikoff and I were blessed to be part of an ADL interfaith clergy mission to Israel with Deacon Miller. During the time that I was the regional director of ADL in Connecticut, I was further blessed to have the opportunity to honor Art with the Torch of Liberty Award during ADL's centennial anniversary event in Hartford in 2013. Art is a highly respected speaker and preacher. He is also a brilliant person and a great friend. I'm so grateful that he could join us this evening.
Lord have mercy. Thank you. That's way too much. Man, this is a joy. It's such a joy to be here this evening. I feel at home. Thank you, my dear friend Gary, and Pauline, my new friend. And Eric, Rabbi, where are you? Oh, buddy, I should just say, yo, what's up? Yeah, really, such a joy to see you. I do a lot of work with school districts because there's such, it's the nucleus, the beginning of where we form our our character. And so by working with younger people, we can mold them and direct them to be better than they think they can be. So I'd like to show you a film that I show kids. It's only about 4 minutes. It won an Oscar. It is not in English, and it is 4 minutes long. Took them 30 minutes to film it. So if you would, Brother Steve, or should I say President Steve?
Kto? Vanessa? Chceme Vanessa? Zíra dole. Kto? Shkallad. Edhe mos e përsërit më. Qetësi. Hyr! Prapë me vones. Shkallad. Hyr!
So, why did the teacher strike the little boy's hand? It's a question I ask students from Albertus Magnus to Yale to little fourth and fifth graders. And the response was probably what most of you were thinking, because the boy was late. But I want you to think deeper than that. I want you to go deeper than that. Why did the teacher hit the little boy's hand? Well, it's revealed in the fourth time, because the little boy was late. The boy didn't change. Teacher did. So the reason that teacher hit the little boy's hand was because he didn't know the little boy's story. Sounds like us, doesn't it? How often have you been literally or figuratively hit because someone didn't know your story? The other part of that is how often have you hit someone figuratively or literally because you didn't take the time to hear their story? See, that's what this is all about. That's what the Anti-Defamation League is all about. Hear our story. And every single story needs to be told so that we can glimpse the truth of who people are. That little boy was more than just this linear kid who was always late and the teacher didn't see it. The teacher chose not to see it. And there's one other part of this that I saw. His classmates said nothing. The proverbial bystander. And what's the 11th commandment? Thou shalt not be a bystander. And it draws me to the truth. Okay, now, relax. It tells me, it calls me to the truth of what happened to my friend. Emmett, they didn't know. They just didn't know him. Now, when he went down to the little town of Money, Mississippi, and that's where he was, and I've been there, and I should have sent you pictures of me standing in front of the actual store where he was murdered, well, where he was, whatever unfolded. And that little town of Money, Mississippi, the population was 2,000. About 40% were black. And this little store was for black people because everything was segregated, even the stores. Black person couldn't go into a white store. And that's when all that unfolded. And Emmett was murdered. And his body brutally beaten and just vulgarly destroyed, was sent back home, and his mom opened the casket at the train station and said, the world needs to see what hate looks like. My mom and Emmett's mom were friends, and so my mom and my older sister went to the funeral. My mom didn't let my older brother, who sat next to him, go, nor me. And it was a tumultuous time, to say the least. But I keep going back to those people in Money, Mississippi. Out of those 2,000, there had to be 0.1% who knew what they were doing was wrong. Someone had to know what they were doing was wrong. But that 0.1%, which I suppose is 2, could not stand up against the 1998 because of fear. absolute fear. It also made me realize this, and I don't know if you're aware of it, but it is only 5% of the American population participated in any meaningful way in the civil rights movement. 5%. 5% of the American population participated in the civil rights movement. 5%, yet that 5% changed the world. I would tell you that Nelson Mandela was freed because of the American Civil Rights Movement. And it began with my friend Emmett Till, his murder. And so I began to think, whenever I go and speak, that it's even true today, that 5% of any group can change things. If they are determined and filled with faith and strength, they can change anything. So if there are 50 of you in here, there are not that many, about 40, that means there are 2 of you to do anything. I just don't know which 2 it is. And whenever I speak, I'm hoping that that 2 will be 4 or 8 or 16 or 32 or 64, and that's the end of my ability to double things. And so I want to tell you a story about being a bystander. When I was about 7, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was in 7th grade. My family on the south side of Chicago in 1957 moved to a new community. Now, we integrated a community. In 1957, it was dangerous to do that. But we did it anyway. My dad looks like he's white, or he did. And so what had happened is he went out and bought the house, and then we showed up. And so that's how we were able to get the house. And fortunately, my brothers, we all had done really well academically, so there was no challenges to anything that we did. In any event, I started school and I made a few friends. And one day I came to school, and this was back in the olden days. Remember the olden days when you had those desks that were permanently affixed to the floor, and you'd lift up the lid and all your paperwork. Some of you ought to remember that. I know you must remember that, brother. And so you notice I didn't mention any women. And so my mama didn't raise no fool. And so you'd lift up the lid for the desk, and there you'd put all your books. So one day I was only at school about a couple of weeks, and I opened my desk, and there was a note. I picked it up, and it was to Arthur. Nobody calls me Arthur. I'm Art. So I read it and said, "Dear Arthur, I like you. Who do you like? Please check the box." That little girl's names and signed Victoria Hawkins. I don't know who the hell Victoria Hawkins is. So I just threw the note away. Next day I go to school, lift up the desk, or rather the lid on the desk, and there was this note again. "Dear Arthur, I like you. Who do you like? Please check the box. Signed Victoria Hawkins." Oh, it's not, I'm afraid of girls. Threw the note away. Little Susie and Mary and Valerie. And so the next day I go to school, and you know what was there? Oh, that was not a rhetorical question. Do you know what was there? I know, yes. And it said, "Dear Arthur, I like you. Who do you like? Please check the box. Signed Victoria Hawkins." And I threw it away. Next day I go to school. You know what was there? And you know what it said? But no, if you'd have said it, that would have been good news. No, it was, "Dear Arthur, please check the box. Signed." This time, I start looking around. Who in the world is this Victoria Hawkins? And I looked, and there was this woman looking at me, girl looking at me, kind of looking like Pauline's looking at me now. And I said, "Oh, that must be Victoria. She's cute. So what do I do?" So I threw the note away because I was afraid of girls. And so it just sent me notes. I'm throwing them away. I'm avoiding her, man. What do I do? And then I noticed something. Victoria was getting bullied. And all of the kids would bully her. After a few weeks, I had made a couple of friends, and, we ate lunch together. Victoria sat by herself. Every once in a while, a little boy or little girl would walk by and knock her milk over, and she'd clean it up, and they'd run away to their friends and laugh because they thought it was funny. At recess, back in those days, the little boys played on one side of the playground and the girls on the other side of the playground, and she sat right in the middle between the two, unwelcomed by either group. And every once in a while, a little boy or a little girl would run by and kick her jacks or pickup sticks and laugh because they thought it was funny. In the winter, they'd throw snowballs at her, and if it hit her, they'd laugh again because they thought it was funny. So this went on through 7th grade. She'd send me notes. I'd throw them away, and she would get bullied. 8th grade, the notes not so much, but the bullying never got smaller. Well, eventually we all went to high school. And Chicago's a very big city. And in my high school, there are 2,000 kids. 500 were in my freshman class. Now, I am a nerd. This is what a nerd look like when they grow up, because I'm a nerd. And I had honors classes. And I say that because out of the 500, there are about 30 of us who had AP courses, but we didn't call them AP. We called them honors classes. And we all went to school together. So I went to school with 30 particular kids and didn't really get to know the other 470. But one of the things that I noticed is Victoria always sat near the door. And when the bell would ring, she'd hurry out to try to get to the next class before the hallways were filled with the much bigger boys, much bigger girls, who were much crueler. Now, by the time we reached high school, she had stopped sending me notes, but the bullying got worse and worse and worse. They'd beat her up. One time I remember, I don't know if you recall, that girls used to wear these little green jumpsuits for gym. Now, they burned her clothes up, and that's all she had. So our freshman year ended, our sophomore, junior, and then our senior year finally came, and she didn't go to any prom. She never went to any basketball, football, or baseball, or games at all. But she's probably one of the bravest people I've ever known in my life. She never missed school. When we graduated, I know she graduated, but she didn't even come to our graduation. I graduated from high school in 1963. I'm 77 years old. Yes, I know I look good for 77. But in 1963, I graduated, and that was the first time I'd ever been arrested. Dr. King had called for protests in Chicago because of racism and segregation. And so I participated and went to jail. And I was 17 just before I went off to school, to college. And I was proud of myself. And even though, people look at the civil rights movement through a much cleaner eye than it was at the time. Most people, 70% of the American population was against the civil rights movement and hated Dr. King. They didn't start loving him till he died. So I was proud of myself for standing up, and you know what I realized? I never stood up for Victoria Hawkins. I was like those kids sitting in that class. I didn't stand up because I was afraid. I'm a clergy, and what I've come to recognize is the opposite of faith isn't doubt all the time. More often than not, the opposite of faith is fear. That's why Elijah ran away from Jezebel. She was afraid of what she was going to do to him, so she ran in the desert despite all the miracles. He recognized that all the other prophets had been killed, and so he didn't want to get killed, and, okay, Lord, yeah, right, it's time to take my life. And he ran because he was afraid. See, that's what happens to us when our faith confronts our fear. What do we do? Fight or flight? More often than not, we run. And so I began to recognize this, and at that moment I decided I was never in the rest of my life going to be quiet. I will, no matter what, I would never be quiet in the face of what I felt was injustice. So in 2015, I got arrested again. And this time for Black Lives Matter, because I believe they do. It was not received very well by my faith. The Archbishop closed my office that day. I had a 10-year radio program on Catholic radio, ended that day. And it was the greatest blessing that ever happened to me. It was the greatest blessing because when I worked for the Archdiocese, I had to listen to what they said to me. And I had to make certain I didn't do crazy stuff. In fact, I was frequently on television, and it was always Deacon Art Miller, Archdiocese of Hartford. So I was called to the office to say, don't ever speak for this office again about Black Lives Matter, about the Confederate flag, or anything like that. So I said, not a problem. So I kept going on TV, but I said, don't put up there that I'm from the Archdiocese of Hartford. But everybody knows who I am anyway. And so I'm saying this to you, to a faith tradition that I claim. All of us are children of Abraham. And this is a faith tradition that I claim. I'm from Chicago, and often in the black community in Chicago, we claim our Jewish heritage. In fact, I tell other Catholics I'm a Jewish Catholic, because I sure as heck can't be Catholic unless I was Jewish too. I can't be a Christian unless I was Jewish first. And so I have one more message. I'm teaching a class. I'm teaching a class tonight, so I'm going to have to run right after. But this is what I've come to recognize as an end result of Emmett Till and my life experiences. In Psalm 139. Psalm 139 tells me I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, that God knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb. See, I am wonderfully made, and so I finally deduced this one thing. No one has ever discriminated against me because I'm black. Never happened. No one has ever treated me poorly because I'm black. No one has ever shunned me aside or yelled racist words to me because I'm black. It has never happened. So I'm sure you're wondering, okay, now what the hell is this dude talking about? It is not to say those things have not happened. But it's not because I'm black. It's because the people who do it are broken. See, I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. And if they can't see it, they blind, not me. No one will ever treat you poorly because you're a woman. It's because they're broken. They'll never, ever treat you poorly because you're gay, because you're Jewish, because you're disabled. If people treat you poorly or look down on you, it's because they're broken. They can't see. You embrace who you are and what you are created to be. No one takes your value. No one takes the value you've been given, because the people who tried to do that didn't give you your value in the first daggone place. You are beautifully, wonderfully, and extraordinarily made. God knew you, saw you running around before He put you in your mother's womb. He knows exactly who you are. You know what? He liked you too. And this is our message. Every single one of us must live that way. And never accept, no matter where you see it, that anyone has done anything to you because you're black. I can't stand it when I see it on TV. So we must then progress to this. Emmett Till was not murdered because he whistled at a white woman, despite what history books say. Emmett Till wasn't murdered because he whistled at a white woman. He was murdered because he ventured into a place that was filled with hatred. He was the victim. They were the perpetrator. So he was murdered because they embraced hatred, they ignored hatred, they nourished hatred. The state of Mississippi nourished hatred. Amen. And the United States of America was the bystander. That was the birth of the Civil Rights Movement. Not to change black people. Now, let me just say this. The hatred I've been shown and has happened to me does affect me. But by holding on to who I am, it's helping me to reverse the truth of what people have said. So spread that. And like I say, I work a lot with prostitutes and gangbangers and the like in Hartford and other areas. And so like I say to them after I've made a brilliant statement, you feel me? Do you feel me? Do you feel me? Amen. Let's get Baptists all up in here. Look, I've got to run. It's a university, a Catholic university in Ohio, but I have a Zoom class tonight on spirituality. I don't know where it fits in. I just teach it. It's to a group of people who want to be deacons, but it's a master's program. So on my way home, I'll call in and be Zoom on my phone. But thank you, and may God bless every single one of you. Is it in the refrigerator?
No, it's... So, this gift is not in the refrigerator this time. Thank you so much, Deacon. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. I wish I could stay there.
So before we turn the program over to Roy, who will talk about our grants and allocations committee for this year, I want to recognize two people who were very kind to be here from their very busy schedules. First of all, our state representative, Cindy Harris, sitting in the back, right there. Thank you so much for being here. And then 3 rows up is Janine Lupo. Janine is the district director for Congresswoman Hayes, and very, very, very sweet of them to come. Roy, I think you're up. Deacon Art was pretty good, though, huh?
Wow, I can't follow that. I've been on the grants committee, I think, for probably too many years, but I've been very happy with the progress. It's a very diligent committee. Am I right? Very diligent committee. It works very hard, and it has tremendous support from Pam and now from Tom. And we've become more efficient and therefore can spend more time on the grants and the applications. And I'm very pleased with how the committee's working. In fiscal year that's ending now, 23, we've made over $400,000 worth of grants, both here at home and in Israel. And I just would like to go over our areas of concentration for both locations because they overlap. But food insecurity is one that we focus on. The campership, which is mostly here, but some in Israel too. Scholarships and Jewish education are priorities. There's a special fund for dental services for the underprivileged in Israel, and social services and youth support both in Israel and here. We work very hard going through the applications, and as I said, with the support of Tom and Pam. And it works very smoothly, and we're looking forward to continuing the mission next year, despite very choppy, unpredictable economic times. I think we'll do well with our grant program.
Roy, thank you, and thank you to the committee members who are here. Just get our notes together. The next on the agenda is acceptance of board members. Has everybody had a chance to see who's going to be on the board? I'll run through it for everyone. Myself, Roy Walzer, Matt Magida, Eric Albert, Rachel Albert, Chaim Gewurtzman, Lisa Miller, and Kathy Peck Marks. May I have a motion to accept the names of the board members for 23-24 year? Rachel? Thank you both. Any discussion? Or a second, please? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Anybody want to join the board that's here tonight? All in favor? Jonathan, did you put your hand up to join? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. The motion passes. The next item on the agenda, number 10, is acceptance of officers. That's myself, Roy, and Matt. May I have a motion to accept the names of the board members for 23-24? Thanks, Eric. Second. Rachel? Any discussion? Nope. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. It passes. And lastly, a motion to adjourn. Second? Discussion? Oh, thanks. Thank you. Okay. Motion passes. There's some cheese and cake and things in the back, so please hang out and let's visit. Thank you all. Have a good evening.